Welcome to Mailbag, the podcast that's almost as funny as Liverpool's home form this year. I'm joined by Matt Jones, Keith Tomlin, Paul Daly making his debut. Everyone all right, lads?
How long have you been working on that intro for?
Since they got beat by Chelsea.
Nice. We wanted that to be a draw, really, Les. Come on.
Yeah.
I've got a lad at work that supports Chelsea, and he was saying to me, "You must want to draw in this game." I was like, "Well, realistically, yeah, but I hope you win 15-0." So I just want the time, unless it actually tipped the balance of us literally winning the title or qualifying for Champions League or not, something like that. Unless they're absolutely hinged on it, I just want them to get beat.
So, in as funny a method as possible.
Yeah. They were woeful the other night, though. Anyway, this is could degenerate into an LFC bashing podcast, but we won't let it. So
that's fine if it does. You know, I've got no issues with that, really.
I'm fine with that. We did a bit of that on the kickabout the other week with Rob. It was quite cathartic, really. But
play for what the audience wants to hear, Les.
This is true, yeah. Give the fans what they want, isn't it? They just need the chaos that was unleashed when you were doing it, mate. That's what they need.
Oh, mate, that was carnage. Absolute madness.
Right. Get into the hot topics. You know the drill. Name of a random Everton footballer. If you know the news story this came from. First one isn't really a news story. Best ever football boots.
Olivier Dacour.
Go ahead, then.
This is obviously about Alan's Preds, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Blue Predator Mania.
We did a lot of boot chat on the Blue Room this week on the back of that.
I've not listened yet.
They were outstanding, weren't they? It was the whole look, wasn't it? Shaved head, tucked in shirt, socks not right by his ankles but slightly rolled down.
Like tucked into his shin pads, aren't they? Like folded around the top of the shin pad.
Look, very professional indeed.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Because it was all very neat and tidy, and then he's just a bit of a mad frenzy of a footballer, isn't he, as well? So it's a bit of a juxtaposition there. But yeah, Alan's Preds.
Yeah, that is the one. Also, just quickly on football shin pads. Have you seen the shin these footballers wear now?
Tiny, aren't they?
They're tiny. They're like kid shin.
Yeah. Like Jack Grealish is running around with these little farty things on around his ankles. It's just nuts.
They're not doing anything, them, are they?
Nah.
Matt, go ahead, then. What are the best footy boots?
What is it? What are my best footy boots? Or
just your personal preference? It could be footy boots you've had. It could be footy boots you've always wanted.
My favourite ones when I was a kid were the first ones I ever got, and they were the yellow and blue Puma Kings.
Nice.
But you know what? I wore footy boots for the first time in a while the other week when we all played footy. And my feet were fucking... I had to take them off and put my running shoes on instead after 20 minutes. My feet were absolutely killing. I've not worn them for so long. They proper wreck. But I think my favourite ones ever are probably the Beckham Predator ones he wore.
Yeah, the Accelerator 98.
Yeah. And it's got the swerve sort of Adidas logo on it. Yeah. Like the little red tinges on each side. I don't think those ones are stylistically. They're not the ones that Alan had on worthy. They're a little bit different. But
no, the Alan ones were like the circa 2001 type.
Yeah, I think they were from the 2002 World Cup. Around then, I think.
Yeah.
That was with the France 98, weren't they?
Yeah, and the only other one I was going to say was the Ronaldo ones from that World Cup, the R9.
Oh yeah,
the blue and silver, and it had the R9 on the tongue, didn't it, of the boot.
Yeah, outstanding. Them. I was in my football, my Sunday League heyday at that point, and would never have got away with a pair of them. I'd have been all over Pienaar for wearing them. Keith.
So I another one for the 98 era Preds. Mine comes from watching Zidane in that France World Cup, and they were just the pinnacle of boots, weren't they? You've also got the old school sort of late 90s Nike Tiempos were great. And another one for Puma Kings. I was a big fan of Puma Kings. A very, very boot.
Yeah, Brian English tweeted and said best ever boots, the Puma King circa 95 to 98. Absolutely glorious. Again, when I started playing Sunday League, and you could definitely get away with a pair of black Puma Kings because pretty much everyone had a pair. Dales, what are yours?
Do you know what? I'm going to say for me personally, when we were playing footy not too long ago, my boot of choice are probably just a simple pair of Copas, just black and white, simple, do the job. But when I was a kid, Matt's just brought it all back to me then. I used to love the Predators, the Beckham. Would never have personally bought them because they had red on, so I was bitterly upset. But I remember one Christmas, it was after the 98 World Cup, I badly wanted a pair of R9 boots that Ronaldo wore. And he was like my idol growing up away from Everton. I was just obsessed with him. So I think Christmas, I'd asked for them and I woke up Christmas morning and they weren't there. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I remember vividly my nan and granddad coming up later on in the day to see us. And they just brought this box and I opened it and it was just that pair of football boots. And it was just that feeling, seeing them. I've never loved the presents or cherished the presents even more. They're incredible.
It's like when you open the briefcase in Pulp Fiction, just the glow.
Yeah, just plastic gold. I was like, whoa. So yeah, nice.
I remember we used to get footy magazines, and before I read any of them, I'd always flick to the back.
Yeah.
So look at all the new boots that were out. Like when I used to get 442, when I was probably early mid-teenage years. I wasn't asked about the features and stuff, and I was like, right, what are the new boots out? And I'd look at them, and go, "They're boss." And I'd look at the price, and be like, "Oh no, wait, yeah, can't afford them. They're like £200 now." But that is what I used to always do when I used to get a footy magazine, go to the back and look at the new boots.
Yeah, same. Those Predators, the 98 ones, the accelerated, Adidas had just reissued them in the high vis yellow colour, which are dead smart, but they're like £300 Didn't they 300 quid at a pair of boots?
Didn't they release some Preds not long ago, the blackout ones?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Sensational. Absolutely tremendous footwear.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
They released a few different types, didn't they?
Yeah. Basically just have the whole team kitted out in blackout Preds.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I was just gonna say, you obviously knew about this question last night. I was Googling the price of R9s now. £400.
Oh my word.
£400, I swear to God.
Jesus.
Should have held on to them, even if they were size 7.
Trying to squeeze into them after all this years, yeah.
My first boots were a pair of Adidas Modena, which were black, just plain black with a silver stripe with a little red trim on the stripe. My nan bought them. And they were screw-in studs, which you just don't get anymore.
Yeah.
Plastic screw-in studs that go dead sharp if you walk concrete in them.
Something you don't see these days, is it? And it used to be a huge thing in sports shops back in the 90s, was they would have one section of the wall would just be little plastic bags full of different types of screw-in studs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, little metal ones.
You always carry one of these little screw implements with you everywhere, wherever you
stud key.
And referees always used to check the subs' boots, didn't they, when they came on? When you probably don't do this, don't need to.
No.
Never see it now, do you?
No. I wonder if any psychopath did go on in a pair of spikes one time.
Are the kids now, they're still obsessed with boots?
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
But there's all sorts of varying taste now. So Jay just will always wear, he just gets black Copas all the time. Just playing.
Good lad. Well, that's a sign of a good upbringing, that is.
Well, you like to think so, wouldn't you?
Graphic parenting as well.
They just turn up in all different colours. I think when we were kids, if we'd have turned up in different colour boots, we probably would have got laughed at and kicked. But I certainly would have anyway. Well, now they just turn up in all kinds. White boots the lot.
Brilliant.
It's good though. We've all got their own individual style.
We didn't have a mention there, did we? We didn't have a mention for Alan Ball's white boots.
Oh.
But then you always kick off about this, Les, don't you? Because apparently he hated them.
He hated them, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he used to white out his Adidas, didn't he?
Yeah.
He got rumbled eventually. Gary Lineker with his Quasar boots. I had a pair of them when I was a kid, purely because Gary Lineker endorsed them. And I think he scored a hat-trick or something in his first game, but they were falling apart by half-time, so he absolutely hated them. but he'd signed this massive deal with them, even though they were shite. He just got thrown loads of money for wearing them. Similar thing, I think, to Alan Ball.
Yeah, like I remember like there's one point when like it like got massive like a couple of years, well, more than a couple of years ago, like 10 years ago, where there's like talk of like, oh, where a player's going to this club because they sponsor this team.
God, yeah.
And he's sponsored by those. I can't remember. Like I think Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo might have been one example. I was like, oh, he's going to go to this team because they've got this sponsorship in place and he's sponsored by Nike. It's like, I know boots are important, but I don't think they have like a like the sort of the finger in the pie in regards to transfers around the world. Yeah,
the Reds went big on that, didn't they? When they got Nike, they were convinced they were signing Mbappe.
Mbappe 22.
Have you seen their crowdfunder that they've got going on Twitter at the moment? Trying to raise 200 million and they're up to 65 quid, and a fiver of that was off an Everton fan just so he could message cop outs of gobshites.
It takes that, that's incredible, that isn't it? Oh.
Whoever you are, if you're listening, well played.
Probably Les.
You know what? If I thought of it, I would have done. Right, moving on. Next question. Players at the ready. Worst haircut you've had?
Crawldra.
Oh, yes. There's a fella who didn't like to get his hair messed up, wasn't it?
Absolutely not.
But then, mate, you know what story this is from?
Yeah, I'm going to say this is a personal story. If it's the worst haircut I've ever seen, it's Boris Johnson, simply because he looks like he's combed his head with a toffee apple. But my personal story, I've been quite lucky, really. I've not had any really terrible haircuts, but the one I was speaking to Les before we come on, do you remember when Wayne Rooney had a complete skinhead in pre-season 2003-2004? Mm-hmm. Yeah, complete skinhead, played at Ibrox, broke his metatarsal in that game as well. I immediately seen that, and I was just transfixed with Rooney at the time. I was just loved everything about him, loved the swagger on the ball. I just loved he was our player. And I went to Hunt's Cross Barbers, Tuzzio's, good lad, Dave from Tuzzio's, and he was almost like a family friend. We knew him for years. We went there all the time. And my mum, I go to my mum and say, "Mum, gonna get me a haircut. Can I get me a haircut like Wayne Rooney?" And she's thinking Wayne Rooney, short back and sides, as he was the season before. And my mum's like, "Yeah, not too short though." So like, "Oh, okay." So going to Dave and I say, "Dave, Mum said I can get a skinhead. Gonna have all my hair shaved off." And Dave knew me mum, Dave knew me, and he goes, "Are you sure your mum will let you have that, lad?" I was like, Yeah, she said I can get me a haircut like Rooney. Right off, came out, made up when I looked in the mirror, walked right out of the car. I remember the words from my mum's lips to this day. She just goes, "You get home, you get a hat on, and you don't let your nan see you like that." I was just like, "Oh my God." And like she never lost the rag, but it was just a disappointment in her voice. I thought, oh my God. Yeah, that's my personal embarrassing haircut story.
I love the idea of you taking in like a picture into the hairdresser's like, "I want it like this," and it's just Rooney with it, just all of it gone.
Like that against Newcastle.
Remember Ross Barkley's skinhead? That was brutal, that wasn't it?
His ma did it for him, didn't she? Yeah. Before Swansea away.
Yeah. Jesus.
He scored a Swansea, didn't he?
He scored probably one of the most aesthetically pleasing goals you'll ever see in Everton history, because it hit the bar. It was barring in, and you saw the raindrops come down off the bar as the ball went in. It was just beautiful.
He turned out to be a knobhead, isn't it?
Aye.
He looked like a shaved cat, didn't he? With that.
Yeah, he did really, didn't he?
The thing, like someone like Alan now, he rocks a baldy head, doesn't he? He just looks fantastic.
Yeah. Hasn't he done that because his little lad's got alopecia?
Yeah.
Flash that, isn't it?
Yeah, he seems a great fella, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But
that's what you want, and there's someone dead nice off the pitch with an absolute head case on it.
He is an aggy little bastard, isn't he?
A bit like Olivier Dacour, man.
I think Dacour was a bit more elegant on the ball, wasn't he? That sort of player.
He was a head case though, wasn't he? He picked up some bookings in red cards that season, as I remember.
Yeah.
Although I was very, very drunk for the entire season, so I may have. Keith?
Right, so following Paul's example, I'm going to go with the worst haircut currently has to be that Harvey Elliott fella at Liverpool, because he's got about 7 of them and none of them like match each other. It's just red. Shout out also to Leeds, because they've got about 10 players have got the same 7 haircuts in one. Personally, and this is going to make for terrible podcasting because I've got a picture here, but if you're watching it on YouTube, boy, are you in for a treat. And this is me, sort of circa 2005. I would have been about 20. Look at that.
That's like a Rooney. That's like an early days Rooney.
I was trying to emulate my dad, clearly, because you can see his was gone. So yeah, I keep that picture up in my house now. 1, because it's a nice reminder of my dad, and 2, because it's a nice reminder never to shave my head again.
Dare I say that's a haircut you could set your watch by, though?
Could.
I don't think you look too bad there, mate. To be fair.
All right.
Yeah. At least you know you've got the right shaped head for a skinhead. Again,
a head for bald.
Exactly.
And that is unfortunately there. I've just outed my late father as a bald denier.
Matt?
I bet a lot of people watching this on YouTube will say, well, the one you've got now, way.
We'd all kill for hair like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
glorious locks you've got.
Matt's hair now is like when Homer tries demoxenil. And it comes flooding in.
It's getting a bit too long and ragged now. But I think my worst one ever, I can remember, was when I was about 10, 11. And my mum used to always take me to get my hair cut, but for some reason she didn't want, and my dad took me. And he obviously had no idea what I got. It was nowhere near this long then, obviously, but I think he just went in and said, what do people get? And she was like, people just tend to get like a clip. He's like, oh yeah, just one all over then. So basically, I had like Keith Wayne Rooney do effectively there, and my mum wasn't happy, put it that way. But other than that, I'm not really like deviated too much from what I've had now. Like when I was at uni, like it was very long, and like I could properly tie it back and stuff like that. And you look at some of those photos and think, yeah, fucking hell, that was a bit much. But but probably the infamous one all over it at the barbers on Laird Street in Birkenhead.
I used to go there as well.
The one on the corner.
Jasper's.
Yeah, on the corner.
Yeah, I used to go there.
Yeah.
I reckon we should all start a crowdfunder to get your head shaved like that again. I'm sure we'd make a lot of money for charity.
I reckon we could get
more than the Mbappe crowdfunder.
More than the Mbappe one. Yeah. If any Reds want to donate to call us bellends, that's fine. Yeah.
Brian,
I was gonna say that if we finish top 4, I'll do it. But like it's actually quite possible this year, so I'll probably just leave it. Actually, yeah.
RB set the precedent there with his snow angels, so just be careful what you say.
Yeah. Speaking of good heads for bald,
he's got a cracking head for bald, and he Rob he pulls it off.
Absolutely,
100%. Anything tipped in on this one? Worst haircut was that weird effing mullet style at Leeds Run, lad, mid 2000s. Face pure dog shit of a haircut. That was a thing in the mid 2000s. There was a lot of sort of several haircuts going on at once. Where, like it goes on the top, shaved down the sides, and long at the back.
He used to flatten down the front, didn't he? Like so, it was like
like a comb over,
and then he had like spiked it up, and then it was like shaved in all bad places, wasn't it? One of the weirdest ones I remember is, do you remember Sterling's when he was at Liverpool, and it like just sort of went up in the air, and like it was like just twizzled around a little bit, but it was like really, really upright. I'll try and find a picture and put it in the group now, but it was very weird. It was a bit like what Harvey Elliott's got now.
Yeah.
Do you remember James McFadden when he had his mohawk with a rat tail at the back, and it was like dyed red down the middle? That was a terrible attempt at hair.
That was from his Motherwell days, that wasn't it?
Aye. His little Obi-Wan Kenobi ponytail.
Shocker that.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's that like really grew on me. Do you know, like before we went into lockdown last year, like I love like the shaved sides and like his hair on top. I thought finally suits you now, scoring goals, can't knock it, great out of air. And then lockdown happened, and then he started growing it. I was like, not sure how I feel about it, but now he's like, the more goals he scored, the finer a head of hair, I think it is.
Yeah. It's definitely something Samson like in that, isn't it?
Is his a top knot?
That's
a good
that
question.
Raheem Sterling one.
I've just seen it there. He looks like Grace Jones, doesn't he?
Or one of the Supremes or something with that.
Yeah. You need to flash that up on the screen now on the YouTube.
Yeah, I will do. I'll put that up on YouTube.
I'm going to say, in defence of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's hair, rather than a top knot, I'm going to call it a curly samurai.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely Kelly Samurai. That is great.
That's the name of the pod.
I don't remember that at all.
Oh, it's etched in my mind, unfortunately. Yeah,
something else, that isn't it?
So like when you see a well-groomed poodle at Crufts, isn't it? One of them bizarre haircuts.
One of my favourite haircuts is definitely dreadlocked Rom.
Yeah,
I think no one's looked better scoring a goal than his header in that 3-3. Merseyside derby, where he proper puts his forehead through it and his dreads are just all over the place. Oh.
Yeah, it was almost Hullet-like, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How about your favourite Leighton Baines out of there?
Oh, I think we've done this at one point, haven't we? Like way back in the distant past.
I quite like his current one. You know, the one of the picture of him and Tom on Bowl Street the other day.
Do you know with that one though? He looks like Howard Moon to me. I can't get it out of my head. He just looks exactly like him. Right.
Best one for me is Newcastle away when he scored the free kick and he had like that sort of shaggy pixie cut.
Yeah.
That was and he just ran off nonchalantly with his hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely
very Matt Jones.
Yeah, I'll take that.
There you go. We'll end the hot topic on a high there. Go on to ask us anything. Foxy's asked, will we ever play a team managed by Sam Allardyce again? Will you miss his little face on the touchline? Team have a last-minute goal ruled out. That was glorious, wasn't it? I know it all gave us half failure for about 30 seconds, but hand out to win the game like that. Sensational. Matt, what do you reckon? Will we ever play a Sam Allardyce team again?
Yeah, he'll emerge, won't he?
I imagine.
Like a horrible rash that just won't go away. You'll just come back somewhere. I still sort of feel as though, I know, like, we sort of spoke about this on the weekly last night, like I was like the Undertaker's streak being ended at last at WrestleMania. But the Undertaker did come back after the streak was ended and had a few more scraps, albeit the aura and the razzmatazz wasn't quite there. And I think it's going to be the same with Big Sam. I don't think he's going to have the same swagger and that same sparkle that engulfs him now as a manager that's never been relegated. But yeah, I think if there's a team that comes up and they're in trouble next year, they still might look to him. But speaking to Danny Hewitt, he seemed like quite convinced he might stay at West Brom beyond this season and maybe have a go at getting them out the Championship. But yeah, I'm sure we'll cross paths with him again at some point. But again, we spoke about this on the weekly last night. I just loved his post-match reaction when he said Everton are apparently doing well this season. And he also thought that he should have had a penalty for that ridiculous dive by the 6'5" centre forward after the month. It's just like it couldn't have been less of a penalty. It's far more of a booking for diving than it is for a penalty. It's amazing. But I see today as well, he's been crowing as he's saying the Premier League want us to get relegated. Just great stuff.
Up there, isn't he? I think the thing with I'm going to say that. Oh yeah, the thing with West Brom fans and Allardyce, they've not actually witnessed him in person, have they? And I think I know his games are tough to watch anyway, but telling you slightly more detached, aren't you? So because I think one of the big things about Allardyce Goodison was the whole ground just switched off completely from it.
Yeah.
Really strange atmosphere. And that all feeds into the fact that, this is fucking dreadful. But as you're watching it on telly, you got that little bit of detachment. You kind of see that they might not have totally bought into how bad he is just yet.
I mean, Allardyce was a season where I perfected getting off from the game early because it was unwatchable. And I think my best performance was United at home, and it was just after sort of New Year, and it was the wettest day in history, I think. Got to the ground, my jeans are soaked through. I'm just sat there miserable. And I got like 15 minutes in. I went, I don't think we'd strung together more than 2 passes in one movement. And I was like, you know what? I can't be doing with this. I'm off. It was 0-0 at the time. I got off 0-0. 15 minutes in. I was back home. I was back home on the Pleasure Peninsula in time for the second half, and in time for them to score twice. That's how Allardyce got to me.
And then straight to bed after it. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect. Like that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you got any Allardyce stories?
Go on, Paul, have you got any?
Do you know what? There were too many. Like that entire season. When I look at Everton now under Ancelotti, and it's kind of the opposite of what Les has just said there, really. Like with West Brom, there's a bit of a disconnect with the fans there, so they can tune out. And we're the opposite. We want to be like back in the ground watching this, like team we've got now.
Yeah.
But I just, when I think back to Everton now, and then I reflect on that season, like from Koeman to Allardyce, it was just fully depressing and fully shit, wasn't it?
One of the worst for a long time.
But I'm the same as Matt. Really, when I say he's inevitable. Like
inevitable, Sam.
He'll find a way back, and whether he does go down with West Brom and maybe that humbles him a little bit, he loses his streak and then reinvents himself as some sort of footballing genius, who knows? But I think he will be back in all his glory with either West Brom or any other promoted side. I mean, if Liverpool carry on going the way they are, he might get the call in.
Oh my God!
There's a campaign. Get Sammy Lee back to Anfield.
Oh yeah, the legend returns. Yeah, the legend returns.
What he wants.
Yeah,
it's spot on that though. The inevitability of it all, isn't it? I mean, like after the nuclear Armageddon, there will just be cockroaches and Sam Allardyce battling relegation.
Oh God!
Actually, to come back to it, a story. The quotes before the game this week. I wish I had money to spend, and I just thought, well, hang on a moment, mate. You spent £27 million on Cenk Tosun, and you spent £20 million on Theo Walcott, and for the same price, we got Alan and Ben Godfrey. It's just...
How much Rodriguez?
Yeah. You can just add him onto that in any scenario, can't you? Yeah. But just sort of that just came into my head then. I totally forgot about this. Do you remember when he was the manager and the club put a survey out?
Yes.
Asking people to rate the performance of the team and the managers. I've just found the BBC thing here. It says Everton boss Sam Allardyce says a survey sent to fans asking them to rate his performance on a scale of 1 to 10 was a marketing slip up. The survey passed out by the director of marketing was a slip up. He said his knowledge is about marketing and not football. He got things wrong. Fans were asked to rate the statement. I have a high level of trust in the current manager and coaching staff, e.g. in making the right decisions to get the best out of the team. I can't remember what the results of the survey were.
Was that the biggest survey about the whole?
Not favourable.
And they put that in? Or was it a second?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I remember doing a big survey at one point, and I think that was on it, wasn't it?
It was to do with the ground as well, wasn't it? It was all like a big umbrella survey, really, yeah. Remember?
Yeah. So what sort of ale would you like?
I'll do a bit more
like that. Amazing.
Do a bit more digging on that, but
there was a thing in the week.
So that was after like. Go on, mate.
No, I was just going to say there was a thing in the week that someone tweeted Conte his reaction to hearing it. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So he
just
burst out
laughing. Questions to their supporters.
Everton club.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Asking what their supporters think of the coach and the coaching staff.
Okay.
Amazing.
Terrible, but it's Everton. What were you going to say then, Matt?
I was just going to say like that survey stuff all came after. Do you remember the Burnley game where everyone just like hurled abuse at him as he was walking off the pitch, and he just had that horrible smirk on his face.
Yeah.
Was that the one when Ashley Williams got himself sent off because he'd had enough, he couldn't be arsed.
Yeah,
so he just lunged into like 20 tackles in the space of 5 minutes and got a red.
Yeah, he got tethered by Ashley Barnes, didn't he, in that game? And just flung an arm at someone. But in that season, so many of our players got themselves sent off on purpose. Like Schneidlin did it. Schneidlin did it, and Leon didn't.
Yeah. I tell you what, just thinking back, we've been through some shit in the last few years alone, haven't we?
Yeah.
The Reds bang on about the Hodgson era. Fucking hell, we've had about 10 of them in the last 5.
Like Warren touched on last night on the weekly, it is truly the banter years of Everton.
Oh, absolutely.
Dave Walsh. We could be here all night. The amount of shite we've been through.
You see it though, like on Twitter, like people saying like, "Oh, you know, Allardyce was a miles better manager for us than Silver ever was," and I just can't have that. Like, to have someone who actively made you not want to go to the game, or as in Keith's case, like, you know, get to the game and go home when it's 0-0 against Manchester United, like one of the games you look forward to more than any all season. You sat there thinking, "I'd rather be at home than watch this." Like, Silver was not great, but you know, at least you had like moments like the United 4-0. Yeah, it felt like it might go somewhere, albeit it ultimately unravelled. But you know, to take the joy out of the whole thing, like I always remember, like we were in Rigby's before we played Southampton, I think, in our last home game that season, and Davis scored last minute, didn't we? And we were awful, and we were in Rigby's at 5-3, and we just like about 10 of us like, do we actually want to go to this or not? And in the end, we got a taxi about 3:10 from the pub and got up to the ground and regretted it instantly. But like, I know we joke sometimes about saying like, "Oh, should we just jib it off today and stay in the pub because we're playing shite?" But I've never actually got that close to doing it before.
I've done it.
Have you done it?
A couple of times, Jordan Walter Smith. We'd be in the alehouse over here, just thinking about getting a taxi down to the train station, and it'd just be creeping past 2:00 when it's starting to get a little bit late to go to the game. And then we'd ask them if they had the game on, and if the game was on the telly. I think we did it against Borough and against Bolton at home, and we just swerved the game entirely and had a great afternoon in the pub. There's definitely a lot to be said for it.
Great.
Walter Smith.
I feel like it's one of those things that if you do it, you'll never quite regret it.
Yeah. That's a very sort of overlooked period, that I think.
My dad couldn't stand Walter Smith, and even on Allardyce. I think when Allardyce was appointed, my dad wouldn't go to the game. My dad hates him, genuinely hates him. He
clearly knows his stuff.
Yeah, he just can't bear him. Couldn't stand his way of football, and he said that when he was at Bolton, West Ham, wherever he's been, he just can't get on board with it. And yeah, what a thoroughly bleak time that was.
Who was it put in the group chat the other day about West Brom playing Newcastle on Monday, and Steve Bruce against Allardyce has been described as El Jurassico.
They played Burnley the other week, didn't they? And I see it was someone put it's Allardyce versus football Allardyce.
No.
Magnificent that.
Moving on to some happier times. Ian has asked Stephen Pienaar, Mikel Arteta or Tim Cahill in this current side.
Really good question though.
Come to you first on this one. It's a tough one.
See, I thought about this last night. It was like Carragher and Neville on M&F trying to like dissect it. But I think I'm gonna say something, put it out there now. I don't think Stephen Pienaar gets in this current Everton side ahead of Richarlison. So for me, it's sort of a choice between Arteta and Cahill straight off. I look at our midfield now and I see Decore and Alan, and I don't think either of them are technically better footballers than Arteta. So there's a place for him. But I think we've got that quality on the ball now in James. So I got to thinking about Cahill. And again, I think every one of our midfielders, Alan, Decore, Gomez, Sigurdsson, I think they are all technically better footballers than Cahill. But I think when I thought about our current setup, when I thought about Luca Dean, James, and even Sigurdsson from corners and the deliveries that Cahill would thrive on now, we just get so many more goals out of the midfield. And then I think about the lads that we're on board with as players now, Holgate and Godfrey and Davis, they just want to win. They don't give a shit. And I think Cahill would go really, really well in that side with that regard. So for me, it'd have to be Tim Cahill, I think, me personally.
Fair shout, Keith.
See, it's one thing to be said for Tim Cahill is he absolutely hated the Reds, didn't he? Like properly despised them on the same sort of level that we're seeing now from Richarlison, which is just delightful to watch. Arteta, he was a skillful player, but we have got other skillful players in the squad now. For me, it's Pienaar, because you look at the relationship Pienaar and Baines had down that left wing. Now imagine that with Luca Dean.
Okay.
Pienaar.
Imagine Pienaar and Luca Dean down that left wing. It would just be magnificent.
Yeah, that's like a lovely little force, like crossover of sides, that isn't it?
Yeah. Just spanning the Everton generations there.
Yeah, that would definitely work. Matt?
I think this current Everton side now, I'd probably agree with Paul and go for Cahill, because maybe it was the Everton team earlier in the season. I'd probably say Cahill and Arteta, because it was like free flowing footy based on technical ability and keeping the ball and all that kind of stuff. But I think the footy we're playing now, where it is just make the game horrible and try and scab something, that is Cahill's bread and butter, isn't it? He was absolutely boss at that. Just when you need a goal from somewhere, or to get on the end of something from a set piece, or get on the end of something that drops in the box, he was great at that. So I think in this current Everton team, you'd say, as good as maybe Sigurdsson's been recently playing behind the striker, or Rodriguez, that sort of edge, that aggression, that ability to get something out of nothing, I think could really suit the style of footy we're playing. Because he was just great in those little moments, wasn't he? Where you felt like nothing was going to happen, and he'd pop up and do something. So yeah, and like both the lads have said, I think he'd absolutely fit in with the emerging snide that's starting to come through in this team as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think in amongst all of Tim Cahill's goals and everything he did, I still think his finest moment was RKO on Xabi Alonso leading up to the first goal in the 3-0. Absolutely sensational. Keeps him in a headlock on the floor as well.
I'd also love to know what happened with him in Cabai at the end of his last game for us, when he got sent off.
Oh, when he got sent off at the end.
I think Cabai had to go with the ball away, didn't he? And I don't know what happened. I don't think anyone really knows what happened to this day. But the referee just came over and issued him with a red card. But he was a horrible, horrible fella, that Cabai, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Absolute little rat of a footballer. But I don't know what happened. But Cahill definitely said or did something to him that warranted him getting sent off. Yeah.
There's a lot to be said for having a team full of narcs, isn't there?
Yeah, we're just seeing that now, aren't we?
Just aggy little bastards running about everywhere, kicking people. I'm all for it. Make Everton horrible again.
Yeah, I'm into that. Brian Inglis has asked, I've got a question for you. How come if you leave a hot drink to go cold, it goes really cold? And if you leave a cold drink out, it sort of goes room temperature? If you're not familiar with this, try it.
I love that. Just give it a go.
Yeah, go on, see what happens.
Try this at home.
Yeah.
Go on.
Give us some science, lad.
Yeah, come on, mate. Yeah.
I'm not the fella to be asking about this, lads. My father-in-law was a chemistry teacher. He'd be able to tell you in all of its detail and all of its glory, but I wouldn't have the first idea. That was the one question I was dreading last night, I'll be honest. That was the one that I just couldn't get my head around at all.
Have you tried it this morning?
Nope.
No. Might have a go this, have you? Keith, you nominated Matt Flusk to answer this and mentioned
this is definitely the week for this is the question that should have been on when Matt was on, because he loves thermodynamics. Being a nuclear engineer, it's right up his street. Personally, I reckon there's no difference in temperature between a hot drink that's gone cold and a cold drink that's gone warm. It's the shock factor, because you're expecting it to be hot and it's not. Whereas a cold drink, you're expecting it to be like sort of coldish but not freezing.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. So it's the difference in it, and I think it's all in your head. I reckon if you stuck a thermometer in them, they'd be about the same temperature.
Yeah.
It's a bit of them both just sort of like graduating to
room temperature.
the average, isn't it?
Yeah. So apparently,
think.
energy always goes from hot to cold. So that's why everything goes to room temperature.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that people come to us for this sort of.
Hope
sort
that
of
helps, Brian.
Sorry, pal.
Just need a sort of one-word answer on this one because I don't want to get dragged into it too much. But Bramley Toffee half last. How scouse is Robbo heightened? So let's play it safe. One-word answer on a sliding scale of say Jimmy Tarbuck to John Bishop.
Do you want a person?
Either of them will do.
Tarbuck.
Keith?
I'm going with a big, sweaty pair of Nike 110s.
Paul?
Sam Quack.
Great answers. Sean's asked.
We should do that in future. Have like a scale of scouseness, like the Quack Tarbuck scale.
Is this like the Bellerin scale that we've got?
If anyone doesn't know what the Bellerin scale is, you can tweet Keith. He'll tell you.
I have got diagrams of the actual scale. I will share.
What's Megan Rapinoe shit on there? Anyway, before we get into the important stuff, this is Sean's question. Before we get into the important stuff, like the Blues walking into Europe, I want to know which apex predator is. This was one for you, Keith. Which apex predator animal you'd all fancy your chances against in a scrap? And we've got some examples as well. What's your tactics? Keith via Grizzly, which seems like a good matchup to be fair. Dales via Lion, Matt via Tiger, Les via Crocodile. So
bloody hell! I've drawn the short straw there. Fucking Tiger. Oh my God.
I've got to say, I don't fancy your chances against the Crocodile, although you can just close the mouth like that, can't you?
Just get on land and leg it.
Classic band. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon I'll
see.
Keith?
You can take out any apex predator as long as you get the conditions matched to what you're best at. So, for example, I'm fighting a grizzly bear here, right? I'm fighting that grizzly bear on an ice rink, and I'm putting skates on. The grizzly bear is slipping and sliding. He's not used to the ice. He wants some rocky mountainous terrain. I've put him on an ice rink. He's on his back, and there you go. He's on the floor, and I've won. A shark. You can beat a great white shark if you change the swimming pool, change the water out for custard. The shark's fucking knackered. The shark is goosed. He can't do anything. Whereas, like, humans can adapt better to new conditions than apex predators can. So it's all about picking your battlefield.
See, this is straight out of the Art of War, isn't it? Can tell you what to, man, Keith.
Know your enemy.
Yeah. So Dales, with that in mind,
you got to know your enemy.
How are you going to beat this lion?
Custard.
Keith makes a really, really good point there about choosing the battlefield. I was laughing at it, but I thought, you know what? He's got a point. So the battlefield I choose, I'd probably go with an ice rink for a lion as well. So when it starts charging towards me, it'll hopefully just go through the floor. I was thinking about this answer in a bit more of a fair battleground, if it were last night. So if we were in a savannah and there was a lion that was now alert to me in the area, I would simply make myself as big as possible, roar as loud as possible while slowly backing away. And then I just throw Keir Starmer into its path. That's me.
Can we have an example of you making yourself big and roaring?
Just Jordan Pickford the other day, probably something like that. Probably.
How are you going to convince Keir Starmer to get on this trip? Like, did you fancy coming out to the savannah in Africa, lad? Yeah, got a couple of spare safari tickets here if you fancy.
I'd tell him it was an abstain an abstination treatment, and I'd be fully on board for that.
There's a few Tories out there who you might want to agree with, something like that. Yeah.
You'd be like, Paul, why are you drizzling me in blood, lad? What's going on here? why are we going out into the middle of nowhere?
No reason.
When in reality, the lion would be so bored shitless off, it wouldn't even try and eat him, would it?
ATR here.
There's a lion to death. There you go. There's another one. Bore the lion to death. And the winner by default.
And now people who get in touch with us and say, stop slagging the Tories off. We're slagging everyone off now. Everyone's had a kicking off us, yeah.
We hate everybody equally.
Yeah, it's inclusive. We don't discriminate. We just hate everybody.
You hate everyone.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But the one difference there, Keir Starmer, I would throw towards a lion. Jeremy Corbyn, on the other hand, I would go into battle against the lion for. And that's me.
With you, lad. So, Matt, you've got the short straw with the tiger. What are you doing?
I don't think there's any environment I could beat a tiger in. like even the ice rink scenario. Like when we went to New York a few years ago, she was like, "Let's go ice skating in front of the Rockefeller," and I was like, "I don't really want to do this because it's absolute wedge." And I'm so bad at ice skating. Like, honest to God, I just couldn't do it. Like, there was not one point where I glided along the ice. It was all just like little tentative steps. So I reckon I'll probably be, sticking me in some long grass against the tiger, and I'll probably have a better chance than on an ice rink, to be honest. I don't know, mate. It just tigers are solid and nasty and proper predators, aren't they? So they are for I don't know. Unless I had like a politician to spare to chuck to them, I think I'd be done.
Take a lesson from World Book Day the other day, and Paul will know this well as a teacher. The tiger who came to tea, how did that little girl defeat the tiger? She fed it all of the scran.
Okay.
Just feed the tiger loads, get him fat and sleepy, and then while he's like lying down for a nap, punch him in the face.
Is that what that book's about? Is it? Yeah.
I might have got this slightly different from Judith Chalmers. But I think essentially it's about a little girl punching a tiger in the face.
See, but even if you did that, the tiger would just wake up and maul me.
Then a food coma still. I do like that plot twist on the tiger that came to tea, though.
How did that little girl defeat the tiger?
You don't end up as best mate. She kicks the shit out of it in the end.
Yeah.
The crocodile. I'm just tying a lassie band round his mouth and walking off. Little dig in the before I walk off, and then off we go. Quite easy. Right, final question. And it's a good one to get us all wistful about going the game again. So Warren's asked top 3 pubs around Goodison. Matt will come to this.
Ooh, Black Horse is definitely one. I think after the game, if you just want a bit of mayhem, the Brick's always fine, especially outside. The roof's apparently quite nice as well, lads, isn't it? Yeah. The brick veranda is apparently decent. I don't really... The Fan Zone, number 3.
That's a proper... What's your favourite album? Oh, I'd say it's the best of Goodison pubs.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've not really been in any other ones for ages. Like, just a drink in town now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the Oak's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like outside there is decent, like on the corner. I've not really been to many others, to be honest. Like, we used to go to Glebe. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We used to go in there a little bit like a few years ago, but wasn't a fan of that. The Wetherspoons on County Road just always...
Frost.
Yeah, Tommy Frost. Yeah, it's always flying, isn't it? But no, yeah, I'll probably go Black Horse, Brick, Oak. Not the Fan Zone, really.
You love a pint in a plastic glass and some overpriced.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Really. Paul?
I'm going to say the Oak first, purely on account of the fact that's where I met Mrs. Daly. And it's scatty as it sounds, it was before...
Tick that off.
Yes.
Against Real Betis, and if I didn't put the Oak first, she'd flatten me, so... So I'd say the Oak first. Second of all, I'm the same as Matt, really. I don't really drink around Goodison that much. I probably drink in town, probably after the game, go to Rigby's or go to the Lion. But I'd say around Goodison, you were 2 top pubs. If I'm going in there with my dad and my brother, I'd say the Winslow, and the Dark House. And
never been in there.
it's not bad. Not bad. It's a nice little nice.
Barlow Arms, the Dark House.
Yeah.
Good shouts. Keith?
I'll concur with the lads here on the Oak and the Black Horse, or to give it a bit of culture, Le Cheval Noir. It's an absolutely belting pub. And then for the before we went to Bowser's Castle last time, the brick veranda, and I got a text off my ex-wife saying, "Oh, please be careful today," and I'm like, yeah, no worries, I'll be fine. And then 2 minutes later, I got another text with, "You're on a roof. Why are you on a roof?" And Matt had put a picture on Twitter of me and Daz Rimmer and Matt Flusk up on the veranda at the brick, as we described it. Because inside upstairs and inside downstairs was just horrible. But when you got out onto the little stairs bitty, it was sound. And if you climbed over the low fence, you could stand on the roof of the toilets and watch what was going on down in the street. So it was all right.
That was definitely where that date peaked, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It got progressively worse the closer you got to the tin mine.
Yeah.
But I'm the same as the lads. I prefer drinking in town before and after the game. So pre-match, I'd say the Excelsior is the best one for a pre-match pint. And then afterwards, you just cannot knock Rigby's Courtyard, especially in the summer after a win.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I cannot wait until we're all back for that.
With that telly with the scatty plastic screen in front of it outside with the late game on.
Yeah,
that is the way forward. That after Watford, when the Viras were over, and they experienced scouse for the first time and how British people eat crisps in pubs. It was just what a night that was. What a night that was.
Super.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give it some shout outs for the grounds, for the pubs around the ground, because we used to drink quite a lot. We get off at Kirkdale and walk up. So our pub used to be the Sefton, which changed into Rooney's Bar and now is burnt down, basically. But they used to sell bottles of knockoff beer where they got from God knows where. So for the whole season, we drank this beer called Herrenhauser because it was like £1.50 a bottle or something, and never seen it before or since. The landlady used to live upstairs and used to change the telly over because the Sky in the bar was connected to her Skybox. So we'd have to watch whatever. We'd be watching Footy Focus. She'd switch it over to something else and we'd all have to watch that. And it eventually fell off the wall while we were all in there one day. Sort of place. The elm trees, all right. Springfield, terrible. The Pacific was ours as well, which is now the Liverpool Party Pad. But that used to be cracking pub when it was the Pacific.
If you get a chance, go on Google, search the Liverpool Party Pad and just read through the reviews, because it's the best hour of your life you will ever spend. It is incredible.
It is. It will not feel like a wasted hour, will it?
Nah.
I'll give that a go later.
Yeah, it's better than any novel you're going to read. Right, on that one, lads, that's it for this week.
Belter.
Lovely stuff.
Thanks to Keith. Thanks to Paul. Solid debut, mate.
Thank you very much, boys.
Just a quick shout out before we go, Les, because that is one tremendous jumper. And the people on YouTube are in for a treat when they get to watch this.
Oh, the Fiorentina one.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. There we go.
On that bombshell.
I didn't know where to go from that. Thanks, lads. Thanks to everyone who sent questions in. Thanks to everyone who watched and listened. We'll catch you next time on Mailbag.